Investment solutions with confidence.
Despite ongoing concerns in the Eurozone and the sluggish performance of the economy, Germany has lately showed tentative signs of life. The IFO Business Climate Index rose well in February, but dropped again in March, and the Purchasing Managers Index moved above 50. Joining me now from Frankfurt, Germany, is Dr. Thomas Meyer, Senior Advisor to Deutsche Bank. Do you think this can continue?
Well, for this year, it looks not bad. The German economy has reorientated itself over the last few years towards the faster growing areas in the world, primarily Asia, but also the United States. And it benefits now, following the clarity about the new leadership in China, about the new leadership in the United States. It benefits now from the pickup of orders coming from there. And as a result, it has quite nicely diverged from the other euro area, in fact, European countries who do not benefit from this and are stuck in recession.
Does this mean that Germany could emerge as the saviour of Europe?
No, it can't. If you find that the pillars in Europe, which is really France, Italy, and to a lesser extent Spain, if they start folding over, you'll find that Germany will battle as well.
Because of their trade relationships?
The trade relationships, etc. So Germany is not in a totally comfortable position. It's interesting, it's when one compares Spain to Germany, as Spain gained the ascendancy through the 90s, for instance, the 80s and the 90s and the last century, as it were. They were gaining manufacture. That was a time Germany was actually struggling. It's not a natural thing that Spain and Germany have a natural competitive advantage or disadvantage. It's only at the advent of the euro that you actually had Spain with its rigidities, right, actually then starting to fall behind Germany. But otherwise, Spain has been, been a country that has been in ascendancy. Now they're facing a crunch, and their systemic rigidities are not allowing them to actually deal with the actual problems.
So if Italy and Spain and France continue to underperform, that will drag Germany back a bit?
It has already, of course, exerted a dampening influence as the recession really started in the course of last year. But keep in mind that the growth rates of exports in the other regions have been very strong. So high growth rates multiplied by a relatively smaller share of trade still give you a decent contribution to total export growth. And that has been the reason why German exports and as a result economic activity is recently improving.
Can Germany go it alone within a Eurozone context?
Up to a point, Germany can go it alone, as the exposure towards the faster growing areas is quite strong. For now, the Eurozone recession seems to be stabilizing. It's not gaining momentum, and that would allow Germany to decouple from the rest. This would be challenged if you would see a new re-acceleration of the downward dynamics in the Eurozone. But at least for now, the PMIs, the Purchasing Manager Indices, suggest that the speed of the decline is not accelerating, and that's already good news for the German economy.
There is the underlying solid progress in the European Union in strengthening our economic and our financial systems and our cooperation. That is one firm trend. But on that trend are the shorter-term waves of disturbance and crisis. And there is no doubt, let's be very clear about that the outcome of the elections in Italy is a deep concern for all of us, is not helpful at all, and adds to a sense of crisis. However, it is not an underlying structural phenomenon. We will overcome it, but it is certainly a big blow at this stage, and it is something that will require not only Italy's politicians to look ahead, but it will add to the burden of the Eurozone as a whole. We seem to progress in spite of this crisis.
Just how important is Germany's success for the success of the Eurozone?
Unfortunately, Germany is not a locomotive for the rest of the Eurozone. We have learned this over many years. The German connection to Central Europe is stronger than the connection to, let's say, Southern Europe. So the trade with Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, even Hungary is more important than, let's say, the trade with Portugal or Greece. So therefore, the Euro area economies do not benefit as much from a revival of German economic activity compared to Central Europe.
First thing I always do when I come to a city is go to the market, not the stock market, of course. You come to the food market. You come to the food market and it tells you a lot about a place, a lot about the city itself, a lot about the people. This is where the real people are. Look at this extraordinary produce everywhere. There's fish, there's fruit, these juices are freshly squeezed, and everyone's unpacking.
La crisis afecta en general a todos los ciudadanos y más al espectáculo es al que le ha afectado más. Pero la boquería es un lugar muy asequible. Los precios no son altos y pueden venir a consumir a la boquería. Woody Allen, cuando viene a Barcelona, viene a la boquería. Hay mucha gente que viene a la boquería por el entorno, porque hay muchos sitios también de espectáculo, de políticos y de todo.
My client is 50-50. 50 people foreign, 50 people now, no? Thanks to people, the tourist client, my business is good. Yeah? But in all time, the proportion is more Spanish que tourist. Now it's more tourist que Spanish. In all time, I sell 10, now 1. It's brutal.
No, it's good main business, but it's from many tourists and many different. And for a tourist, it's a perfect now.
Los clientes, a ver, la tradición, por decirlo así, de compra ha ido variando mucho a lo largo de mucho tiempo. Antiguamente venía la mujer a primera hora, en la actualidad la venta, por decirlo así, se empieza más hacia el mediodía, que es cuando la gente va a comer, etcétera, o por las tardes. Por la mañana viene sobre todo la gente que no tiene trabajo, que es ama de casa, etcétera. Los sábados en este mercado, que es cuando la gente no trabaja, hay mucha venta porque vienen parejas, viene gente de fuera, viene gente también de toda Barcelona pues para comprar.
Just as an aside, and comparing some prices, there may be more fish than you can shake a stick at this stall. But have a look at this fish here and see if you recognise it. It's called palengre. We know it as hake. And have a look at the price. €7.80 per kilo. And if you sort of translate that, you go to your local fish shop in South Africa, you're going to pay something like €3.50 per kilo. Expensive business being a pescatarian. The mood on the streets is ambiguous. Despite a firm understanding of a less than rosy financial and employment position and a sense of hopelessness, the citizens of Barcelona still have faith in the future.
Spain government make a lot of mistakes, a lot of big investments with not return of investment, and we have many different crises. Also, in the beginning, the European Union was a good thing for us. Now I think it's not a good thing.
Si vosotros no tenéis trabajo, ¿pensáis a quitar de España?
Sí, sí, sí. Inglaterra o Alemania a buscar faena porque si aquí no hay.
Do you think it would have happened if Spain had been on its own, not in the Eurozone? Would the same crisis have happened?
Bueno, yo creo que sería peor. Hubiera sido peor si no hubiéramos estado en el euro, porque ahora la Eurozona nos está ayudando. Yo creo que sería peor.
Creo que quieren ayudar a países como España, Italia, pero creo que no es una buena mesura, que no nos va a sacar de la crisis, y yo creo que los que han tenido parte de culpa son los que tienen que pagar por eso.
Spanish economy was doing well. It had very high growth. It was attracting a lot of immigration from other countries to come here work, but there were some warnings that shouldn't have been overlooked. One obvious one that is easy to identify ex post is the very fast increase in the price of real estate. But another warnings, and I consider this second warning very, very important also, is the lack of productivity growth since '94.
Spain was clearly vulnerable in 2007 because property had been going up for a long time and prices were very much stretched. So in a context such as this one, when credit dries up, the decline in property values will be much sharper than it otherwise would have been. I think that's fairly clear. One of the things that happened with the introduction of the euro was a big decline in interest rates, and this encouraged people who previously had only access to very dear credit to go on the spending binge. And that was very good for growth in the short term, but of course it left household balance sheets very much stretched.
Por ejemplo, a la hora de pedir una hipoteca no te pedían nóminas y te la daban con tal de ellos ganar dinero. Y ahora hay un montón de pisos que están libres y es que no los puede comprar nadie, y para qué los quieren vacíos también.
Hay gente que se está quedando sin casa y que tiene que seguir pagándola a pesar de no poder disponer de ella.
Y encima dejar a miles de personas en la calle en el país de Europa que más vivienda vacía se acumula, porque se habla de 6 millones de viviendas vacías. Entonces esto es absurdo, vulnera los derechos humanos, vulnera también cualquier lógica económica.
I think it was an easy way to make money in Spain during those years. The dynamics of prices made it very easy for people to jump into that sector without prior experience. It was good for the developers, it was good for the banks, it was very good for the local politicians, because many of the tax revenues of local governments were not only local governments, but also given the high level of transactions in real estate, and since transactions are taxed, that generated a lot of extra revenues for the national government as well.
Effectively, the property boom in Spain was symptomatic of interest rates in the Eurozone being too low as a whole. Okay, and so you had this bubble forming in Spanish property, and of course the hubris that goes with that is that everybody climbed in, and you then generated a systemic deep-seated problem in the financial system, because the collateral backing up your banking system is effectively in your property market, and that, you know, as that's come crashing down and still not resolved, that's the one thing is, you know, how long can Atlas keep up the universe?
After the break, the Spanish banking sector and unemployment. Also, is the rich diversity of cultures in Europe a strength or a weakness for the future of the Eurozone?